Hello and what's up, GSC Pokemon Challenges fam? How you guys doing? Long time no see. I'm back. Good to be here. I promised way back when, I don't remember exactly which video, but one of them where Cleffa was just being an absolute beast in the minimum battle series, that I need to beat the game with this Pokemon. And if I can beat the game with this Pokemon, in honor of the fact that I've just had my baby boy, I'm going to get him a plushie of this Pokemon. I know that you guys heard me promise that. I know people have asked about it. Yes, we're going to go through with it. If we can beat at least Johto with this Pokemon, I'm going to be just super stoked. And I'm going to be ready to just say, hey, my little guy needs a Cleffa plushie. And I've already looked on Amazon and found one. So yeah, we're gonna run the entire game with this one. I think it's gonna be pretty decent, but remember, on these full game runs with these Pokemon, I always do 0 DVs. So this is the worst possible Cleffa, and we can see its stats aren't very good. It ranks 240th out of 251 Pokemon in Gen 2 with a base stat total of 218. That attack and defense are absolute trash, as is the speed, but we do make up for it a little bit with some decent HP, decent special defense, decent special attack, and we are in the fast level up group. That could help a lot, but the thing that I really think this Pokemon has going for it is that it has such a massive move pool. After doing runs with Spearow and Hoot Hoot, like, this is such a breath of fresh air. We're going to be able to learn things like Rollout. I'm not sure we'd ever really want Icy Wind, but hey, at least it's there for coverage. We can get decent moves like Shadow Ball or Psychic. We obviously get Return. Iron Tail might be useful somewhere. I'm not sure. I find it hilarious that we can learn Fire Blast with this Pokemon, so we might have to gamble at the game corner for a little while. Don't know. Solar Beam might actually even be viable if it's mixed with Sleep Strat. And we learned Dream Eater, something that in Gen 1, it was like basically 2 Pokemon could learn Dream Eater and actually use it. Mew could learn it, but it didn't matter because Mew didn't have a sleep move. So yeah, like, it's a pretty decent set, and I think we're going to have a lot of options as we go through the game. I can already see a situation where we might have to get access to Fire Blast. Just thinking about Jasmine and thinking about price, that might be the way to go. And while Icy Wind's not great, it could be useful in the right situations against some Dragon Pokemon. So we're just going to try it. I'm not sure this is going to be perfectly optimized, but you know, let's go. So with that, we're going to start a brand new game and see if Cleffa can somehow manage to beat maybe even Red at the end. So as usual, we're going to go through the incredibly talkative start of the entire game. But here in Professor Elm's lab, he's finally going to give us access to the greatest Pokemon that was ever in baby form. And here we have our Cleffa, and you're going to notice its name is Katsumasa. That's actually the name of my son. So I just decided to name it after him, and let's see if he does a good job. I mean, he's just a baby, guys. He's only 2 months old. So if he can manage to beat the entire game of Pokemon, he's already like light years ahead of where I was. Remember, light years measures distance, not speed. Now, it's also worth noting I'm going to stay as close as I can to minimum battles on this. I'm not expecting that I will be able to beat the game on minimum battles with Cleffa, but we never know. Sleep strategies can be kind of broken. We saw that with Hoot Hoot. It definitely was better with sleep strats in the Johto section, but I just don't think we're going to be able to lean on that the entire time. So there's probably going to be some spots where we just have to start grinding extra levels. We're just not going to have enough defense probably, and speed is always going to be an issue. The quick clock could be incredibly important in this one, but we'll just find out. Before any of that though, we need to fight against our rival. Let's see what he gives us. So I did decide to put us up against the Totodile team just because we have really low defense. So I figured a decent attacking Pokemon might be stronger against us in the later game. So we're going to start off by using Charm, and we can Encore him, I guess, but really we just want to use Charm to get his attack down, and now just sit here and spam our pounds, hoping that we can take him down. Uses Leer, doesn't matter. Easy win. Of course, we had to use one berry there, but really not too bad. And so since we need a rival, we're going to just go ahead and name him after my rival, RBY Pokemon Challenges. That guy doesn't have any baby Pokemon. What the heck is his problem? And just like that, we can go ahead and take on the rest of this challenge. I'm going to catch a couple of Pokemon to be HM users here in the early game, and then we can progress from there. And now without further ado, I'm going to take my first attempt at Faulkner's Gym. Keeping in mind, this is is a 0 DVs Cleffa, so we are weaker than we were in the minimum battles series. So while we know that a max DVs Cleffa can in fact get through this gym, it's still kind of up in the air whether or not a 0 DVs 1 can get it to go. We do have a same type attack bonus, of course, in Pound. We're coming in with 22 HP at level 6, Pound, Charm, and Encore. And we've got 8 attack, 8 defense, 10 special attack, 11 special defense, and 6 speed. It's really not a stat spread that would usually give me much confidence here, but since I've already done it in the minimum battles series, we may as well try, starting with Honest Abe. So here in the Honest Abe fight, I'm of course going to use Charm. Oh, and I didn't give myself a berry. Rip. So we're gonna lose this first one, but even one Charm does reduce his damage quite a bit. So we do know that at least with Charm, we have a chance here. It could come down to getting a critical hit or something like that, but let's just see. So in the second attempt, of course, we use Charm and we heal up with the berry. We're gonna use Charm again and we get a critical hit. So in this attempt, we have all the charms set up and he's still doing basically 3 to 4 damage to us each time. So it might not be a fact that we need to use all the charms. We might just need to use a couple and then hope to knock him out from there. And yeah, here it's pretty clear that this is not working. I've taken multiple resets, but even with all the charms set up, we're still like in a 4-hit KO range and it's taking at least 6 hits to knock that Spearow out unless we get multiple critical hits. And as usual, we only reset for 1 critical hit in the fight. So instead, I'm going to come here to the Sprout Tower and fight a couple of these sages at least, and let's just see if that gets us to the point where we can take out that first trainer. And here, simply beating the first 2 sages is enough to get us to level 8 and learn Sing. And of course, with sleep strategies, I think we're going to be perfectly fine here against Honest Abe. So I'm going to just try that one again. I'm going to, like I said, keep the optional battles to a minimum. So here, let's just go back into Faulkner's gym, and I think we can make our way through at this point. So now against Honest Abe, with the move Sing on the learn set, we're just going to sit here and spam Sing and hopefully be able to use it. And I should have put a berry on, but I'll just charm him all the way down. And now let's see what Pound does. We're doing 6 damage per hit now. So obviously we needed a berry on, but I think we can get this to go. And here with Spearow put to sleep and its attack stat all the way debuffed, we can just go into our Pounds. And I think we're going to be able to knock it out this time. Even when it wakes up, it's only doing 3 damage per hit now. So we get an easy victory there as we get to level 9. And from here, I think it's just a matter of sleep strats. Now it is a problem that Sing is only like 55% accurate, but fortunately with Charm, we can get the damage down on our opponents enough that we can get through this fight. It actually took multiple resets there on Rod though, so that doesn't make me super confident going into the Faulkner fight. I'm going to give a berry here. Let's see how this goes. So Faulkner attempt number 1, we're simply going to Sing on the first Pidgey. Once we get it to sleep, that's very nice. We're going to spam some charms on it. We want to get this one so that at least if it does wake up, it's not going to do much damage. And now we can go into the Pounds. Once we've got it here doing 2 damage per hit, I'm not too worried about it. So I'm just going to simply go with this as I go into the Pidgeotto. Hopefully we can just put this one to sleep. We do, and we managed to use our berry right there. So now let's spam the charms to get its attack down way low. Hopefully it just stays asleep for a very long time. So now we can go take it to Pound Town. We're doing about 5 damage per hit here. I am going to try to put it back to sleep. Very nice. And as long as it stays asleep, I think we got this. And it's kind of a damage race here. He gets a critical hit to knock us out at the end. Oh, come on. Come on, Faulkner. We had him. We had him. We were going to win on the next turn if he just didn't get that crit. So back to Pidgeotto, and we've lowered its attack all the way again. So we just have to land 7 hits on this Pokemon. It's doing 3 damage per hit to us, and another critical hit knocks us out. And here back again, Pidgeotto is asleep. We've got 18 HP left. We have already used our berry, but if we don't get that crit, we're going to win. There we go. Finally, it took a ton of attempts to get through that one. But with only 2 optional battles, we were able to beat Faulkner's gym, even on 0 DVs with our Cleffa. So with that, we can simply make our way now to Azalea, where I think we're going to be just fine in this next section. There are no required trainers before we get to the Slowpoke well, so let's just make our way down there and beat up on some rockets. I'm going to be a proud daddy already watching my little guy beat up on rockets. Now, since we might want to get Fire Blast later on, I'm going to pick up items that I don't need and just be able to sell them for money later on. So it will slow the run down quite a bit, but it's just for the fact that if we do want to use Fire Blast, which will make sense against Price and Jasmine, I think it's just the best way to go. I'm also not going to be super careful about using TMs here because I'm sure we're going to need TMs at some point. I've obviously avoided them up to this point in the Minimum Battles series, but for full game solo runs, sometimes using a TM like Mud Slap just makes too much sense. For now, I'm going to still hold off, but once we hit a wall anywhere, I'm simply going to use a TM first before I go grinding optional battles. And sure enough, none of these rockets are hard, they're just kind of random. I mean, Sing is the least accurate of the sleep moves in the game, so the fact that it misses approximately half of the time, of course, makes some of these fights just really inconsistent. That being said, when you do manage to get everything set up, including some defense drops, getting the opponents confused with Sweet Kiss, now the fights really aren't that bad, and we can easily get through and get to level 14. So with that, let's go ahead and try to fight against our rival and try to fight against Bugsy. I'm actually going to take on the rival first, just given the fact that the Ghastly literally can't do anything to a Cleffa. Just see if this works. So against rival number 2, I'm going to lead off, of course, with Sing, and I want to use Sweet Kiss on this Pokemon. And then I just kind of want to sit here and spam Sweet Kiss, and I'm just kind of hoping that it will hit itself in confusion a bunch of times. We actually ran out of PP here. Now, we could, of course, use struggle strats, but I don't think we need to. So I'm going to just try to go for the Sweet Kiss initially and then just see what goes from there. And it basically comes down to we need our opponent to hit themselves in confusion 5 times to knock themselves out. So I'm going to use Sweet Kiss to confuse Ghastly and then basically just sit here and spam Pound and hope to get enough turns of it just hitting itself in confusion. So just like that, the Ghastly goes down. We can use Sing now on the Zubat, and now I'm just going to take it to Pound Town and see if we can knock this one out. And with that one going down, Croconaw comes out. We're going to go once again for Sing here. Also going to try to confuse it with Sweet Kiss, and I'm going to charm it like crazy, hoping to just reduce its damage output. And now let's go for the Pound. And unfortunately, we just didn't have enough HP there to survive against its water guns. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take on the 2 required trainers inside of Bugsy's gym, and let's just see how they go. And after that, let's try that fight again at a slightly higher level. So I was having a very random time getting through that Ghastly, so I figure I'll just try Bugsy one time here. Let's see how he goes. So in the first attempt here against Bugsy, I think the strategy is just use Sing on the Metapod. I'll give it a charm as well, and if we can confuse it, we will. But really, I think it's just about keeping this one asleep. And since neither of these fights really seem to be going very well, I'm finally going to learn the move Mud Slap. And I'm actually going to learn Mud Slap over Sweet Kiss, because when I think about opponents that I'm going to struggle with, I think the best strategy will often be to use Sing and then Mud Slap them so that they have really low accuracy, and then maybe Charm to reduce their physical damage. I think Sweet Kiss is just kind of adding another random move on top that isn't super accurate, so I think this is a pretty good strategy to go for. So this is our first attempt at Scyther now. Obviously, we need to put it to sleep, and we just didn't get the sleep to stick. But now that we're using the move Mud Slap, I think we can take another shot at our rivals, since it's going to be a pretty good move to use against that Ghastly. So in this fight, we're simply going to try to put the Ghastly to sleep. As long as we can get it to sleep, I think we're going to knock it out pretty quickly with the Mud Slap. It turns out to be about a 4-hit KO here, and we've moved on to the Zubat, where now yet again we're simply going to want to put this one to sleep if we can. Of course, being confused and getting Bite is not great for us, but once it's asleep, Pound should do decent enough damage, I think, that we can get through this. And unfortunately, Croconaw just took us out in one hit because we didn't have enough HP left. So this time we get to Croconaw with really good HP, 34 HP remaining. So even though Scratch is going to do a lot of damage, I think we can manage to get through this one. But not if he just hits everything and wakes up immediately, which is what he did. Back to Croconaw on good HP again. It uses Rage this time. I'm just going to use Charm to lower its attack really low. And yes, Water Gun is going to do massive damage, so we do have to get this Pokemon back to sleep, and it just didn't work out. So here we have Croconaw with 5 accuracy drops, and we get it back to sleep. I think a single Water Gun will knock us out though, and we're not doing very much damage. So we need a lot of accuracy luck here. We get it back to sleep though, so if it just stays asleep enough turns, no. It got us. So the only other thing I can really think of here is to get another berry at the Ruins of Alph. I actually had to already use all of my berries just to get up to this point, but let's see if this will work out. Maybe with a berry we can manage to somehow get a just slightly better range, one extra attack, something like that, that allows us to win one of these fights. So here we can pick up the extra berry in the Ruins of Alph, as well as some of these other healing items. And now let's get back down and try to fight against Rival 2 and Bugsy again, just seeing if the ability to heal in battle helps us out just a little bit. So with that, let's try Rival 2 again first. And here we even get to Croconaw on full health in our first attempt with the berry on. And of course we can't hit Sing on the Croconaw. And since Pound is doing only 5 damage per hit, this is an 11 hit KO. So our only possible way to get through is going to be to use some sleep strats mixed together with some accuracy strats, I think. Back to Croconaw with it asleep on fairly low health, and we finally managed to get through on the second attempt with the berry on, and just like that we have beaten our rival and gotten to level 16. So now there's nothing to do but come back here and fight against Bugsy, one level higher fortunately, but let's see if this turns out to be enough or not. So back to the Scyther, we've just leveled up to level 17. We're going to put this one to sleep, of course. We're going to use a bunch of charms to reduce its damage output as much as possible. Of course, Fury Cutter can still build up, so we've got to keep it asleep. Now let's see what Pound does. We are doing 6 damage per hit here. So this is going to be a 9 hit KO without a crit. We just couldn't get it on that attempt, but let's keep trying. Back to Scyther again. Once again, we're trying to put this Pokemon to sleep. He missed a Fury Cutter, which is pretty nice, but we don't want him to be able to go into using Quick Attack against us. And now with his attack stat well and down, we're just going to go into the Pounds and then try to put him back to sleep whenever he wakes up. And we missed the Sting. And here, after multiple attempts, we finally knock out the Scyther with 2 HP remaining. It took really good sleep luck, but hey, we got it to go finally, and with that we can finally progress all the way on to Goldenrod. And fortunately, it's at this point that we're going to start to get access to some decent TMs as well. So this should be the point in the game where, at least in theory, things should get a little bit easier. That is, of course, if we can survive getting hit by anything. Now I am going to take this opportunity to learn Headbutt over Pound. Headbutt should be a little bit better than Return at this point in the game, so I'm just going to use this as my primary damage dealing move for now, and we'll put something else in as a secondary move. Now I'm going to fight the 2 trainers that will be required later in the game here in the Underground in Goldenrod, just because these are the only 2 required trainers in this section of the game before we get into the gym. And I think these Slowpokes are the first Pokemon we've ever outsped in this entire run. Now we'll also get the Quick Claw here, because there could be spots where just that lucky chance to move first could be all that we need to get through a fight. So now we can come into the gym and we have a couple of strategies that we can use. We can stick with our moveset as it is, or we can even learn the move Rollout. We'll see if we need it. The only reason I would use Rollout is, of course, with our sleep setup and with some accuracy drops, then we might just be able to get the Rollout to build up enough to knock opponents out. But for now, let's just stick with our moveset as it is and see how it goes. So time for Whitney attempt number 1 here. We're going to come up against our big brother Clefairy, and Metronome uses Lock On. Okay, well, I'm simply going to put this one to sleep and then start headbutting, and let's see if this turns out to be enough. The double slap with a critical hit did an awful lot of damage, and then Bide from Metronome. Okay, so here now we're going to go for Sing. Stomp just one-shot us there. We did get the Quick Claw to activate, and I think that might be the key to getting through this fight. So this time we get Miltank to sleep. I'm going to use Charm on it in order to lower its attack as much as possible, and then I'm going to go into the Mud Slaps to lower its accuracy as well. Now once it wakes up, we're definitely trying to put this Pokemon back to sleep, and we just can't quite get the luck to get it to go. So this time we get to Miltank on full health. It's using Rollout though, and we simply could not manage to land a Sting. So this time we managed to get the Miltank asleep while we're still on full health. So if we can just get it to stay asleep long enough to set up a few charms and Mud Slaps, this might just work. Instead, however, Rollout hits every single time and we get knocked out due to a critical hit. So since this strategy isn't working, I'm going to learn Rollout here, and I'm going to learn Rollout over Mud Slap. Yes, I know we could keep going for accuracy strats, but I think a decent strategy is simply to build up Rollouts and try to knock opponents out. So let's just see if this can work, maybe with the Quick Claw. And here, even outspeeding Miltank with Rollout, we didn't knock it out in one hit, so that clearly isn't a good enough strategy on its own either. That being said, maybe we can get the Miltank to sleep and then set it up that way and somehow get through. Back to Miltank again. We've still got decent HP as it's asleep. We've set up the charms. Now I'm going to see if maybe, just maybe, rollout can work here. We're just not going to do enough damage. Now, one other possibility would be to outspeed against the Miltank here with our rollout already set up and to get a critical hit, or we got a miss from rollout this turn. So that also could give us a potential avenue to get through. We put this Pokemon to sleep. Now I'm going to set up Headbutt here. I'm just going all in on attack. It wakes up and knocks me out. But if we could get a critical hit with rollout with the Quick Claw activating, it is technically possible to get through that one. So I finally managed to beat Whitney. So just to break it down, I got to the Miltank on full health. It used rollout. I got it to sleep. Then I set up my rollout. I managed to get a miss from it, and that was the battle. So we got through, but this took over 130 resets just on Whitney in order to beat her without taking optional battles. It's pretty clear that a 0 DV's Cleffa at least will have to take optional battles in order to make this fight anything close to reasonable. That being said, hey, we got through Whitney and we got to level 20. Now she's gonna cry about it. I didn't cry about resetting 136 times to you, Whitney, so come on, take it. There we go. Now, the benefit, of course, is the plain badge will boost the power of normal type moves, and that should help this Pokemon as we continue through this challenge. That being said, for now, I'm going to just make my way up to the next town, Ekritique, and let's just see if we can take on some Kimono Girls and see how it goes. And it seems like the Kimono Girls are basically just if they hit me with a move like Sand Attack, I can lose. Otherwise, if I can set up Rollout, they're pretty easy to get through at this point. We're able to gain quite a few levels in here. So with that, now it's time to just take on Rival 3. I'm a little bit nervous about his Magnemite, but if we can find a way through that, and if we can get through, say, the Haunter, we should be good to go. Now, the main issue with this fight, of course, is that Haunter loves to use Curse. So if we're getting cursed turn 1, we're definitely not going to win. This is a spot where we absolutely need the Quick Claw to activate and to be able to put this Haunter to sleep turn 1. I believe there is a small chance that he won't use Curse turn 1, but most of the time that seems to be his strategy, so we may as well just go for the sleep and hope that the Quick Claw activates. So here we do manage to get through Haunter, and we built up Rollout enough to just knock out the Magnemite. So here I'm going to try to sing on the Zubat, and I think we go into the Headbutts here. Headbutt is doing decent enough damage as long as it hits. We get a 2-hit range there. And now Croconaw, I really want to put this Pokemon to sleep, and then let's just see if we can Headbutt it. We're confused, which is obviously a pretty big problem, but as long as we can land enough Headbutts, I think we're going to be good. And just like that, we get through Rival 3. It took quite a few attempts there just to get the luck to get that Quick Claw on the very first Haunter. But once you get that, Rollout, as long as it builds up enough, managed to get me through the first 2 Pokemon, and I was good to go. Now, I'm really not sure how I'll do in Morty's gym, so one possibility is to go over and actually get access to the lighthouse in Olivine, and that might be a way to just get a couple extra battles, so I'm going to go ahead and try that. Of course, here we actually only have to fight this one guy with a Pikachu. If you were playing in Pokemon Gold and Silver, I believe that this is actually impossible to backtrack, but in Pokemon Crystal, fortunately, they've repositioned these 2 trainers, so you only have to fight one of them that's actually required. And whichever way you go, you have to fight one of them. If you go up against that fence, you'll run into the girl and still have to go over here. So either way, you're just in this situation. And with the Olivine Lighthouse finished up, we're up to level 26 as we go into Morty's gym. Now, I'm a little nervous taking on all of these ghost Pokemon, especially because I forgot the move Mud Slap earlier on. Rollout is really all that we can use here. So we're kind of hoping that we can just build up enough power with Rollout to start sweeping through Pokemon. Fortunately, the Quick Claw can activate, allowing us to put them to sleep and start setting up Rollout. Now, it's not going to be perfectly consistent, but at least it's a strategy that we can try. So with only one reset against these rando trainers, we get to level 28 and we can just heal up before we go take on Morty. So Morty attempt number 1 right here. We're just hoping the Quick Claw will activate on this Ghastly, allowing us to put it to sleep. Doesn't work this time, so we're probably not going to win this one, but once we get a run where we put the Ghastly to sleep first and then start setting up the rollouts, we should have a decent chance to get through here. This time we get all the way to the final Haunter, but with Curse, we're just not going to get through this one. Back to the final Haunter again. We have Curse on, but we still have pretty good HP, and if we can manage to hit one more rollout, there we go. We managed to win against Morty with our Cleffa. Oh, Katsumasa, you're far too powerful. My son, he is the one. Yes, he's a little Cleffa right now, but someday, guys, he's gonna be fully evolved, and when he is, watch out. He's gonna be super OP. But just like that, we have gotten through that section, and now we have some serious issues. We have to take on Chuck next, or we can go over and take on Price in like the Lake of Rage. I think that's the way to go. I think we gotta go and take out some rockets in this section if we're gonna have any chance whatsoever. Now, as usual in these runs, I'm going to catch the red Gyarados. It's going to be one of my HM Pokemon going forward. So I think the best strategy is simply to try to put it to sleep. But if that doesn't work, then we'll just have to chuck balls until we win. And there we do get it. So very nice. We can come and check out Lance and just hear him tell us all about everything. Yes, clearly we're here to help you. We're going to run off and just beat up on some rockets to gain some more levels. Now it turns out that the executives are still kind of hard for our Cleffa, probably just because our speed stat is so incredibly bad that we can't reliably get through these fights. Granted, once rollout builds up enough, we will do decent damage to these Pokemon, but it just takes a ton of attempts to get through this. That being said, with decent sleep luck, we can get all of these fights to go without taking any optional battles in this section. And with that rocket section done now, I'm gonna try Price one time. Since rollout is technically gonna be super effective here, let's just see if it can work out. So Price attempt number one here against his Steel. I'm just gonna try to put it to sleep. Didn't work out that time, but I think if we can get it to sleep and start setting up rollout, we may have a chance here. Basically, the plan is to set up the rollout here on the Steel, and if we can get enough of the rollouts built up, we should be able to knock out Dugong pretty easily. Then it just comes down to some Quick Claw luck and some sleep luck on the Piloswine. Granted, I think if we miss any rollouts before knocking out the Dugong, it's just an automatic reset. So here we do knock out Dugong. We get to level 33 going into Piloswine, and I think we just have to get that Blizzard to miss. If we get a Blizzard miss and put this Pokemon to sleep, I think we have a decent chance of getting through. So back to Piloswine again. It misses Blizzard and we miss the Sing, of course. Granted, Sing's only 55% accurate. We would have far fewer resets if Sing were simply more accurate than it is, but that's kind of what you get when you're relying on sleep strats. So back to the Piloswine again on decent health. We outsped thanks to the Quick Claw, but we couldn't get the sleep yet again. So that Price fight just didn't seem to go, so I decided to come down to Cyanwood instead. And let's just complete the little bits of the quest that we have to down here, and maybe we can get through some of these fights. Probably going to come down to Quick Claw luck against the first two black belts, but let's just see. And just like that, we actually do manage to beat the first black belts on the second attempt. So I figure, what the heck, let's at least fight the rando trainers in here. We might not be able to beat Chuck, but we could possibly get through the other two. So after beating a couple of those black belts in Chuck's gym, I'm just going to come here and deliver the secret potion to Jasmine. And now let's get out of this section, and we might even try to go to the game corner for a minute and see if we can get access to the move Fire Blast. Fire Blast could be useful really against two of the gyms that we're struggling with right now. Won't really make that much of a difference for Chuck. I mean, it might help us knock out his Primeape, but other than that, it's really just about getting through maybe Jasmine or getting through Price at this point. So fortunately, the card flip game is very exploitable here in the game corner. It's tedious, but you can get enough coins. Basically, there's an infinite coin glitch here, because if you just bet on one card over and over again, you get a 24 times payout even as the number of cards decrease. So it's technically beatable. So this is one of the reasons why even in the minimum battles series, I've long debated having this be perfectly legit, to come here to the game corner and just get these TMs. In this case, we're going to get Fire Blast, and let's just see if that helps our Cleffa. Now, one other factor here is, of course, that we've got reasonably extremely high friendship with our Cleffa at this point, so I think Return is actually stronger than Headbutt at this point. So I'm also going to learn this move. Yes, I know Return can be learned by basically everything, but it is basically the strongest same type move we're going to get in this entire run. And now with Fire Blast on the moveset, I think we could really make the argument to either go try Price again or to come here and fight Jasmine, just because of the fact that Fire Blast will be super effective against all of her Pokemon. This one might actually work, but let's just try it and see. So here Fire Blast is enough to one-shot the first Magnemite. So all of these Magnemites, if the Quick Claw activates, should just be one-hit KOs. Out comes the Steelix as well, and we one-hit it with a critical hit there, and we defeat Jasmine on the very first attempt. So Fire Blast is a massive upgrade, considering that we have a much higher special attack stat than physical attack stat. That was pretty darn good. Now we still have to decide Price or Chuck next. I'm going to go ahead and try to take on Price next. This is really not an efficient route, but keep in mind, we're not going for speed here. We're trying to stay as close to minimum battles as we possibly can. So now back to Price. Let's try him again. So here we put Steel to sleep, and I'm going to start setting up the rollout here. And we have the advantage that we have a higher defense stat at this point, thanks to the fact that we were able to get Jasmine's badge. So we did get knocked out by a critical hit Headbutt there, but that was really just because of the flinch the first turn. If we had gotten the Quick Claw to activate, we would have knocked out Dugong there and been on the Piloswine. So this one I think is really just going to come down to rollout luck and trying to get to that Piloswine with hopefully decent health. So this time we do get to Piloswine as we reach level 35. If we just got a Blizzard Mist there, we would have had a shot to knock that one out. So in this one, we're back to Piloswine on green health. And we also get the Sing to land turn 1. I'm going to use a Fire Blast here, which did very good damage. And now let's just go for Return and see if we can manage to knock this one out before he wakes up and knocks us out. He misses a couple Blizzards, goes Fury Attack here, but it's not enough. We managed to knock him out on this attempt. So at level 35, Cleffa has beaten Price. We're actually doing incredibly well considering this is a baby Pokemon. Like with the Spearow and Hoot Hoot, we were way higher level than this to get through this section of the game. It was far less consistent. Here, I mean, it's still not consistent in any way, shape, or form. We're almost up to 400 resets. But hey, we're pretty darn close to minimum battles, so that is nice. And of course, Icy Wind, while it's not a great TM by any means, it is at least available to us if we want to learn it later on. And with Price defeated, now we have no choice. We have to go back and take on Chuck. He could still be a wall to us. We weren't even able to make it through that trainer with 2 Mankeys and a Primeape before, but now Fire Blast, given that it's a special move, might be enough to get through there. And since we have the ability to, I'm also going to come to the Whirl Islands and just pick up some items. Now, the vast majority of these items we won't even use, but we can sell them for money if we ever decide that we need anything else. Particularly at the end of the game, we might need to get access to more full restores and things like that. But now back in Chuck's gym, let's just see if we can manage to beat this last trainer and then Chuck himself. And really, I think it's just a matter of getting the Quick Claw to activate on that final Primeape. Once we get that to go, as long as we hit with Fire Blast, I think it is a one-hit KO. And it turns out it is not. It only does about half damage right there. So the other possibility is to go for the sleep on that Primeape. As long as we can get there, we just need the Quick Claw to activate and for Sting to actually hit. So this time we just barely survived the Karate Chop from Primeape and put it to sleep, and we just need 2 Fire Blasts to hit. We miss both of them. Let's see what Return does. It doesn't quite get it, but he stays asleep. So finally we get through and get to level 36 and we can take on Chuck. Now this might be our hardest gym leader fight so far, but let's see how this goes. So of course Chuck's going to lead off with his own Primeape. We know that we're not going to be able to one-shot it, so I'm going to put it to sleep. And now let's even just go for Return. It looks to be a 3-hitter with this move, and it stays asleep, so we do manage to knock that one out. Out comes the Poliwrath next, and it hits Dynamic Punch. Now Dynamic Punch is reasonably low accuracy, and that's kind of what we're banking on. If he goes for Dynamic Punch and misses, we might have the chance to put that Poliwrath to sleep and then knock it out from there. So Fire Blast, on the other hand, appears to be a 2-hitter on that Primeape. We're back to Poliwrath now, and he hits Dynamic Punch again. So this time Dynamic Punch misses, and we put the Poliwrath to sleep. He uses a full heal here, and he misses a couple of dynamic punches, and we missed 3 things in a row. So it's worth noting that he does have the full heal. We should keep that in mind so that we can try to immediately put him back to sleep. So I expect him to use the full heal, so I just went for Sing again, and we're both just missing, but he hits the dynamic punch. But that is clearly the best strategy here, is that once he's put to sleep, just use Sing again to try to put him back to sleep after he full heals. So we get Poliwrath to sleep, he full heals, we put it back to sleep again. Now I'm using Return on this one, trying to deal as much damage as possible. It looks like this is going to be a 6-hit KO, so he wakes up and knocks us out. We need a really good sleep when we get him back to sleep there. So here Poliwrath is back asleep. We could, in theory, get the right luck for him to miss and put him back to sleep again, but he just woke up too quickly there. This time we get Poliwrath back to sleep after it woke up once there, and if we can just get it to stay asleep a little longer, there we go. Finally, we knock out Chuck at level 36 with our Cleffa. Katsumasa, far too powerful. Come on, only took 447 resets to get to this point, but hey, we got something going on here. And now, of course, we get to fight a bunch of very weak rockets. We'll see if it works out, just given that Cleffa isn't super strong itself, but hey, we've got some decent moves to at least try to use here. And sure enough, our low HP pretty much means we're going to be backtracking to heal up a lot in this section, but we'll just take that because, hey, as long as we can get the XP, I think we'll do okay. Now, it turns out this executive at the top of the tower with tons of coughings on his team is actually incredibly hard because he hits really hard with Sludge and he uses Smokescreen. And those two moves together, plus if he self-destructs, basically mean our Cleffa can't stand up to the damage. So I'm not sure if this fight is actually possible for us. So we have made it to Wheezing here, but unless we can manage to outspeed with the Quick Claw and put it to sleep and probably get some pretty good luck with damage ranges, this one might just be impossible at this point. And it's worth noting that this is probably because we're on 0 DVs. If we were on max DVs, we might actually be able to outspeed all of these coughings, meaning that we would only need the Quick Claw to activate on that Wheezing itself. But here, because we're slower than all of these coughings, we're always hoping for the Quick Claw to activate before they can Smokescreen us or self-destruct on us. And even Sludge does massive amounts of damage. This time we do get Wheezing to sleep. We don't have much PP left in our moves though, and he wakes up immediately and tackles us down. So I think we've finally hit that point where we have a wall in the game, and I think we should just go back and grind some levels until we can at least outspeed those coughings. They all have 32 speed. We've only got 27, so it's going to take quite a few levels to get there. So finally at level 46, we've reached 33 speed, which will allow us to outspeed those coughings. So we might actually have a chance to get through this executive now. And on top of that, Fire Blast is now one-shotting these coughings, so we can get to this Wheezing pretty darn easily. And now we just really want to get this Pokemon to sleep so that we can use Return on it and hopefully just knock it out in a few hits without it waking up. Instead, it wakes up and uses Explosion and we die. But this time we get through the Wheezing. We're to the final coughing. I'm just going to use Return on this one. It's going to be a 2-hit KO. And just like that, we are finally going to make it through this executive. So we did have to take an awful lot of optional battles there, but this still doesn't actually make me too nervous about this Pokemon in the minimum battles series, because keep in mind, we're going to have significantly higher stats. DVs typically don't make a massive difference in a Pokemon, but when you've got a parable stat, something like our speed stat on this Cleffa, having 15 DVs in speed actually will make a pretty big difference by the time that you're anywhere near this level. So we might actually just naturally outspeed those coughings, in which case we would have a decent chance of getting through this section. But for now, let's take on rival number 4. And this one shouldn't be terrible, I don't think, but of course he can confuse us. So I think the correct play is to actually put this Golbat to sleep, and then let's just see what the ranges are with Return. We get a nice 2-hit KO there. On Magnemite, of course, we're just going to go with the Fire Blast to one-shot it. Out comes Haunter. I'm going to stick with the same thing because Haunter's going to want to use Curse here. Sneasel comes out, obviously another Pokemon to just Fire Blast. And finally, we've got the Feraligatr. This is the one that I'm most nervous about. It using Water Gun here, but the issue is Curse. even with a critical hit, we just didn't do enough damage to knock it out. So we might just need the quick claw to activate on that Haunter so that we don't get cursed there and are able to also put that Pokemon to sleep. Or it also is just fine if this Haunter decides to use Mean Look on us instead of going with its much better curse, and we knock it out just like that. Once again on Sneasel, we're just going to stick with the Fire Blast, but now Feraligatr wasn't doing that much damage, so I'm going to put this Pokemon to sleep, and now we'll go into the returns to knock it out. And just like that, we are able to get through that fight, so it's all just a matter of getting either a Mean Look from that Haunter or putting it to sleep with the Quick Claw. And just like that, we're able to rescue the Director, and we can, of course, pick up just some extra items down here. We're finally making progress now that we managed to get through that one executive. So here we've made it all the way to the final executive of this Rocket storyline. Let's just see if we can beat him. So of course he leads off with Houndour. I'm gonna go for Rollout on this Pokemon and just see what kind of damage we do. We do pretty decent damage there and knock it out. Coughing comes out and we immediately missed the Rollout there. That was not what we were looking for. Let's try this again. So I think if we can build up enough Rollout by the time that we get to the Houndoom, we'll be able to knock it out pretty easily. That's my hope at least, but we keep missing on the Coughing. We've got to not miss there. This time we do get to Houndoom. It goes for Bite though and knocks us out. This time though, we managed to hit the Rollout on the Houndoom, even with a single accuracy drop from Smokescreen. And just like that, we are able to defeat that Rocket. It only took a couple of attempts. So with that, we have finished this Rocket timeline, and it's time to make our way to Claire. So here in Blackthorn Gym, we're just going to start taking on all these randos. Let's see how they go and if we need to learn a move like Icy Wind here. Now this is one spot where I really do wish that we could learn Elemental Punches with this Pokemon. Kind of strange to me that Cleffa can't learn those because they would kind of make sense, but I digress. We're going to go ahead and take on Claire here for the first time, and let's just see if we can find a way through her. So of course Claire's Dragonairs are massively faster than us. They've got 66 speed here versus our 39 speed. We would be grinding forever to ever outspeed these Pokemon. So we're going to just have to hope for the Quick Claw to work, maybe some misses from something like Thunder Wave, and just see if Return can get good enough ranges. It looks like a 2-hit KO on the Dragonairs, so really not too bad as long as we can just manage to land enough hits. So in the second attempt, we get a Thunder Wave miss turn 1. It's a 25% chance to happen, and we put that first Dragonair to sleep. So as long as they're using Thunder Wave and missing, this is actually really good for us. We're just going to sit here and spam Return over and over again. And then this one misses Slam, so we get through this one, I think, also without any damage. We're all the way to Kingdra, and now the question is, how much does she heal her Pokemon here? I'm pretty sure she's got a couple of healing moves, but here Return with a critical hit did about half. She Hyper Potions and she full heals, and now she goes Hyper Beam, which did massive damage, but it doesn't matter. We get through Claire just like that with Cleffa. So here we're gaining an awful lot of levels, of course. We're up to level 53 to get through Claire, but we did manage to get through the 8 gyms. So now we just have to make our way through the Elite Four. And this is going to be very interesting, of course, because I expect them to be pretty hard for this Pokemon, but we'll find out. And so just like that, we can take on the last rival before we get to the Elite Four. Let's see if we can beat him. So of course, Sneasel is as simple as just using a Fire Blast. Golbat is going to be a little bit tougher, but I'm going to use Return here. I should have healed coming into this battle. Let's try this again. So of course, Sneasel is just as simple as using a Fire Blast. It's an easy one-hit KO. Out next is Golbat. I'm going to Sing to try to put this Pokemon to sleep. Of course, it will confuse me. There's not much I can do about that, but we'll just spam some returns here, and it's in 2-hit KO. Out next is Magneton. Of course, we are going for the Fire Blast here against Magneton. It is a one-hitter. Out next comes the Haunter. I was hoping that we would get the Quick Claw to activate and be able to use Sing first. Unfortunately, it did not work out, so we get knocked out right there. So this time we do get to Kadabra with decent HP left, and out comes Feraligatr now. It goes for Slash, which is really not what we wanted to see. Of course, we get knocked out right there. So this fight might not be possible at our current level with our Cleffa. This time, however, we do manage to get Haunter to sleep without it using Curse, and I'm able to use Rollout to knock it out at the end. And here we really just want to deal damage, physical damage to this Kadabra, and let's see what the built-up power of Rollout does here. And we managed to get through, so without any extra level grinding, we were in fact able to beat beat the rival with our Cleffa. It just came out to getting really good rollout luck and a quick claw that allowed us to actually put that Haunter to sleep before it was able to use its very ridiculous curse on us. So for all I know, I could be here for a very long time grinding, so I'm going to buy as many full restores as I can. Let's just take our first shot at Willy Boy. If we can knock out even a couple of his Pokemon, this might be the point where we just have to start level grinding. So first attempt against Will, we actually get the Quick Claw to outspeed the Xatu here. That was very nice. So here I'm going to go for rollout on this one, and let's just see if we build up enough rollout. Can we knock out a couple Pokemon with this move? So out next, of course, is Jinx. Jinx gets easily destroyed. We get to level 55. We're still using rollout. We knock out the Exeggutor. So now we have been leech seeded, and I definitely want to put this Slowbro to sleep if I can, especially because he's cursing up a storm at us. And now I think we want to go for rollout. I think we need the damage multiplier in order to do enough damage eventually that we're going to be able to knock this one out, but it just doesn't work out there. Let's try this again. Now, of course, we are faster than Slowbro, so we can put it to sleep here. And I'm going to use return on this one and just try to knock it out if I can. And that will take us to the final Xatu. And here we're just going to try to put this Pokemon to sleep if we can. We miss, and of course, we get knocked out by Psychic. But this is a winnable fight at this level, it seems. Now, while I did say that this seems like a winnable fight, it's certainly not anywhere near consistent. And honestly, if we look at our stats, we're probably not going to be able to survive very long here. Most of these opponents have higher special attack than we have special defense. Add to that the fact that we're slower than everything except the Slowbro. It's basically impossible without really good sleep luck and really good quick claw luck. At this point, I'm thinking that it's just a little bit too inconsistent, and at some point we knew that Cleffa was probably going to have to start grinding levels. Now keep in mind, a max DV's Cleffa would have at least 16 points higher in every single stat, so we would be talking about 96 special defense as opposed to 80 special defense here, just as an example, and that could have a massive impact when we actually come back and do this one on minimum battles with our max DV's Cleffa. We might actually not be that much worse, and we might even be better in spite of the fact that we're on minimum battles. But for here, I'm just going to keep grinding this fight and trying to get experience until we can finally get through Will, because we all know that we've still got Koga coming up, Bruno coming up, and Karen coming up, who are all going to be pretty tough for this Pokemon. So at this point, the strategy is just if I can knock out at least the first Xatu, I will simply faint at this point. Otherwise, I will keep grinding and resetting because we don't want to take a bunch of extra optional battles if we don't need to. So we do manage to get to the last Xatu again, but once again, it's just way too fast. It hits us with Psychic. Without the Quick Claw activating there, we're just guaranteed to lose at that point. So this time at level 63, we managed to get to the final Xatu still on full health. So if we can just find a way to get this one to sleep, we should have a chance to knock it out. And sure enough, it just takes 2 returns after it's asleep, and that's our first victory against Will. So it took level 63 to get it, but hey, we've defeated one Elite Four member. Let's go ahead and heal up and now try our hand against Koga. Now, of course, his Fortress is going to be resistant against rollout anyway. I'm still going to try this move just to see how much I can build it up. We managed to get through in 3 hits there. He uses Minimize with his Muck. Obviously, that's not great for a rollout strategy either, but I'm just trying this. I have added the move Defense Curl so that I can effectively double the power of this move just to see how it works. I'm going to take a couple attempts at Koga before I start just grinding here. Now, Koga does like to use his evasion strat, so it does kind of make sense to just use return on a lot of these Pokemon, but still, we can try to set up with our rollout here. And now against Koga's Muck, of course, rollout's not going to do great damage here either, but we're just trying to build up enough. We just couldn't outspeed the last turn that we needed. So this time, Fortress did use Protect against us, so we're just going to keep the rollout going after we get it sleep, and let's see if we can build up now on Muck enough in order to knock it out. It's going to use Minimize to try to avoid damage, but we do knock it out. We're all the way to Crobat. He uses Double Team. Doesn't matter. We knock him out. So at level 63, it is reasonable to beat Koga with a Cleffa using rollout Defense Curl strat. But now, of course, we have to deal with what I think might be the single hardest member of the Elite Four for us. Surprisingly enough, it's Bruno. He's so improved from Gen 1. And really, this is the situation where rollout strats aren't aren't going to do that much for us, but it might be our best strategy to try to get through. The defense curl makes a lot of sense here. We're going to want to boost our defense, but yeah, obviously he's going to resist rock type moves, so we might be better off mostly relying on return. But let's find out. So of course the Hitmontop is faster than us, so I'm just going to put it to sleep and start setting up all my defense curls here. Of course he lands a critical hit, but I think we want to at least set up all the defense curls and at least have +6 defense on this. And of course Hitmonlee just makes quick work of us. I'm going to try this again just because we had kind of bad luck there on the Hitmontop. Maybe we can get a better range. So this time he used Swagger on us with his Hitmonlee, and the fact that we have really high defense right now because we've set up all the defense curls might make this a reasonable situation to try to get through. The Machamp is looking to be a 2-hit KO though, and we get knocked out just like that. I'm just going to keep the XP. Let's grind a few more levels and come back here. So here we come back to Bruno at level 68. Let's see if he's more possible at this point. So once again, we're able to get to Machamp, but Cross Chop is just way too strong and it is 80% accurate. So he's going to hit most of the time with it, and it's just not going to be possible to get through this one at this point, barring some sort of exceptional luck with Quick Claws and things like that. So we're back to Bruno again at level 72, just slowly grinding up more levels. Granted, we have really low defense, so the extra levels aren't really doing that much for us. We're kind of just hoping to get lucky here. Of course, if we can ever get a run where we actually get this Pokemon to sleep early, we should have a chance to set up a bunch of defense curls and probably get back to that Machamp again at least. So this time we get to Machamp with at least decent health remaining. He misses the first Cross Chop. The second Cross Chop we survive, put him to sleep. Let's see what return does here. It's going to be a 2-hit KO, but we do knock out Machamp on this attempt and get to level 73. Out comes the Onix, and of course Earthquake was kind of scary, but we actually survived it. Now we put it asleep. We got a critical hit turn 1. It wakes up and it earthquakes us down. That was close, but not close enough. So we lost right there, but we did get all the way to Onix. I'm thinking that maybe in a couple levels we might be able to get this one to go. So back again to the Machamp, and I've actually switched to the Pink Bow here just so that we have a boost in our normal type attacks, making return stronger. It actually at this level is guaranteeing that both the Hitmontop and the Hitmonchan can be knocked out in a single hit. I'm not sure if it's a range or not, but at least they were 1-hit KOs here. And we are back to Machamp with green health, so it hits Cross Chop and gets a critical hit, of course, but I'm going to reset here a few times just to see if I can get this to go. The other advantage of changing to the Pink Bow here is that before we were often not sure if we were going to outspeed the Hitmontop or not, which basically resulted in me always having to use Sing until I finally got it to sleep. But Sing is so inaccurate that sometimes you outspeed and you miss, or sometimes you outspeed and you use it while he's underground, while he's using Dig. It just wasn't really an ideal situation. So instead, by using the Pink Bow, we can get this situation where we always know that he's going to outspeed us. So we can just set up one defense curl turn 1 and then try to Sing turn 2. I don't think we're getting through this one though, unfortunately, due to the fact that we got way too many critical hits from him. Let's try this one again. So Hitmontop is a range at this level. Hitmonlee we've been knocking out in a single hit for a long time at this point, so we're not really worried about that. Hitmonchan, I'm not sure if it's a range or not. We knock it out in 1 hit again there. Out comes the Machamp. I'm just going to go for return here. This is going to be a 2-hit KO. He uses a max potion and he misses another Cross Chop. So we're to the Onix on green health now. I'm just going all in. We're just going to go straight for the returns here. It's not going to do great damage, but he's not going to do great damage to us without crit. So as long as he doesn't critical hit us, I think we win this one. And at level 76, Cleffa has beaten Bruno. And with that, we're ready for our first shot at Karen. This one's going to be incredibly interesting. Obviously, there are some spots where we're going to have to use rollout strats here. There's a Gengar on the team. It's the only move that we currently know that could hit a Gengar, unless we want to learn Shadow Ball or something, but I don't think we want to change our moveset. Let's just see if we can get this to go. So of course, she leads off with the Umbreon, which is faster than us. We've only got 65 speed. It's got 70 speed, so we're probably going to get sand attacked no matter what. Here we can put it to sleep this turn, though. I'm going to use Defense Curl at least once, and now we've just got to try to set up rollout, and I don't think this is going to be very great. Obviously, it's going to take a lot of luck after getting a single accuracy drop. That being said, we are to the Gengar. It uses Curse, of course. We do knock knock it out on the next turn though. Murkrow comes out. I'm going to stick with the rollout here. And unfortunately, I just don't think we're going to get this one to go. We do knock out Murkrow though. Houndoom comes out. We survive the flamethrower, but we just could not land the hit. We might have been able to knock it out there. I'm not sure. Let's try this again. And this time we finished our rollout on the previous Murkrow. So this was the first rollout we used here, and we did over half damage to the Houndoom. So I do think this battle is winnable. This is a spot where we might want to go back to the Quick Claw from the Pink Bow. We're not really going to use the move Return in this battle at all. And instead of accidentally throwing it away, I'm going to reset so that I can actually give it to my Pokemon this time. And if we can just outspeed that Umbreon and stop it from using any sand attacks on us, we might be able to win this one. So this time we do outspeed the Umbreon. We set up a defense curl. We're going into our rollouts now. We need 3 rollouts on this Pokemon in order to knock it out. Out next is Vileplume, and rollout we outspeed it. It is a one-hit KO. Gengar is going to outspeed us unless we get the Quick Claw to activate. Very nice. Now Murkrow, we're here on full health. I don't think he can do anything to us. We knock it out in one hit. We're going to survive this flamethrower, and down goes the Houndoom. So at level 77, Cleffa does beat Karen. Took a couple of resets, but I mean, with the Quick Claw, that worked. That is ridiculous. And now we're coming into Lance, and I don't think we need to change our strategy at all. It's really just a question of, do we need to set up more than one defense curl here? But the strategy, I think, is Quick Claw on the first Dragonite, set up defense curl, and go into rollout, since he's the, as my good guy Squidgy would say, the liar with the flyers. I don't think there's a better move here. Let's see if it works. So here we managed to put his Gyarados to sleep. I'm going to set up one defense curl this time. And now let's go into the rollout. We did over half to this first Pokemon, and out comes the Dragonite. It goes for Thunder Wave, and of course we can't do anything about that. We outsped there, but we got paralyzed. So this one is going to be a 3-hit KO here because we just couldn't get any rollouts to build up. We knock out the next Dragonite though. Of course, Aerodactyl is going to knock us out there, but there's a decent argument to be made that we can get through this one. I think it all just comes down to outspeeding the Gyarados and getting it to sleep. If Sing's just going to miss every turn, obviously we can't do anything there, but he does like to use Hyper Beam, so it probably makes sense to set up a lot more defense curls here and then go into our rollout spam. So this time Gyarados goes to sleep turn 1. I'm just going to go a little bit harder on the defense curls here. Goes for Rain Dance, and of course Surf is going to do decent damage, but it's not a ridiculous amount that we couldn't survive, unless of course he starts critical hitting like this. But here we're not fully set up, but I'm just going to go into rollout now. Let's see how this works. Here out comes the first Dragonite. We knock it out in a single hit. Second Dragonite, we knock it out in a single hit. We're on to Aerodactyl. We missed the rollout, but Aerodactyl only knows physical moves. So if we can manage to build up the rollouts, we might need some crazy Quick Claw luck, but we knock out Charizard. We're all the way to the final Dragonite. If the Quick Claw activates, I think we would have won there. It was at that point a 10% chance, I think, that we would have just outsped and won. So this one's probably possible with just the right kind of luck. And on this run, we're back to Aerodactyl and we hit the rollout. So we knock that one out. Out comes the Charizard. It goes for Flamethrower and it gets a critical hit to knock us out. Without the crit, the 4-time super effective rollout might have been enough there. We're back to the final Dragonite here and we use rollout. It doesn't quite knock it out though. And we get knocked out right there by Outrage. But that was really, really close. This time we managed 2 rollouts on that Aerodactyl, and now we're fully paralyzed against the Charizard. If we could have hit the Charizard, I think then a single hit would have knocked out that Dragonite. Granted, paralysis makes that less likely, but still, paralysis is only like a 1 in 4 chance of stopping us from moving, so it was a reasonable chance there. Back to Charizard on really good health this time, and no paralysis. We knock that one out. We get to level 78. The Dragonite uses Outrage, but we survive, and we outspeed with the Quick Claw. There we go. At level 78, Cleffa, the legend itself, has beaten Johto. Oh, my son Katsumasa on 0 DVs. He's only 2 months old, guys. He's still better than Lance. Granted, it took us a good 600, almost 700 resets, tons of optional battles, 9 TMs up to this point. Really not great. Not great, but Remember, this is a 0 DVs baby Pokemon. We still managed to beat Johto with it. I'm very interested to see how Kanto goes, but I think I'm going to have to follow through on my promise that I made before. My little guy's going to get his Cleffa doll. Found it on Amazon. It's going to cost me like $24.50 US. Going to have to buy it in Japanese yen, so it's going to be super expensive relatively here. The yen is just trash, guys. Anyway, that being done, let's go ahead and just see how Kanto does with this. Can we even beat Red? I don't know. We might need some ridiculous rollout strats, but let's try it. I'll take just this little interlude here just to say thank you guys so much for your patience. As a new dad, it has been really hard to find time to sit down and record, especially an 8.5 hour run like this. But it's a lot of fun. I still enjoy doing this so much. The Minimum Battle series is coming back. Don't worry, I got time this weekend. The wife is on board with me making content. Fortunately, thank you, wife. The RBUGSC wife is amazing. So yeah. Anyway, let's get into Kanto. This is going to be incredible. So just like that, we've made our way back to Olivine. It's time to get on the SS Aqua. Let's go ahead and make our way over to Kanto itself. I'm not going to comment on every single battle here, just the ones that are actually important, and let's just see how they go. So first things first, we're already in Vermilion City. We may as well try our hand against Lieutenant Surge, where I think return's probably enough, but let's find out. So of course he's going to lead off with his level 44 Raichu. I don't expect we're going to outspeed things other than the Quick Claw activating, and there we go. We one-shot that Pokemon. He goes double team with his Electrode because he's borrowing Gen 1 Bruno strat. Out comes the Magneton. This is like the scariest Pokemon. It looks to be a 2-hit KO here though. Out is going to come another Electrode. He's still double teaming like crazy. We're just going to knock him out with Return. And finally, the Electabuzz goes light screen. Good job, Lieutenant Surge. He gets defeated on the first attempt as we get to level 79. So now I will pick up the Psychic TM. I'm also going to get the Dream Eater TM. These are two moves that we might actually want to use at some point, given the fact that they give us a decent special move and our special attack is much higher than our physical attack. They could make sense. But for now, I'm not going to learn those moves. I'm going to come in here and try to fight against Sabrina while avoiding as many trainers as possible. So let's see if the Gen 1 waifu is good or not here. She's going to lead off with her Espeon, which is of course faster than us and uses Sand Attack. Good job. But here Return is a 1-hit KO. Very nice. Mr. Mime comes out next. He barriers. He's apparently smarter than Lieutenant Surge was. We are missing just thanks to a single accuracy drop here. Alakazam comes out and reflects. And we're going to probably lose this first attempt unless we get a Quick Claw to activate. Did not happen. So definitely Sabrina's a little bit more competent, but I still think this fight is more than winnable. Here we get a Sand Attack miss, so no accuracy drops this time. And we outspeed the Mr. Mime thanks to the Quick Claw. Very nice. Alakazam's still going to go for the Reflect strat. Perfectly fine. We're just going to go for a second return. And there we go. Second attempt is all it took in order to beat Sabrina. So now I think it's time to just go beat up on Erica. We could of course learn a move like Psychic here. I don't think we need to though. I think Return's going to be strong enough. And of course the weaker trainers in the gym don't pose any challenge for us whatsoever. So it's time for Erica attempt number 1. So of course she's going to lead off with Tangela. I didn't even heal coming into this fight. That's probably a mistake. So I'm just going to sit here and spam Return though and knock that one out in 2 hits. Jump Bluff comes out. It goes Giga Drain. Let's see what Return does. It is a 1-hit KO as we get to level 80. Victory Bell uses Sunny Day. We're just going to knock it out in a single hit though. And Blossom takes 2 hits to get to go down. She does use a Hyper Potion here, but we managed to get the last hit on, and just like that, Erica is an easy victory. And I accidentally evolved, so I'm gonna just fight her again. So we beat her again without evolving this time, and now we can go ahead and make our way to fight the next gym leader. I think we're gonna go ahead and try to fight Misty. But just before that, let's go and just make sure that we find out all about this whole situation with a missing part to the machine here, so that we can make our way back as efficiently as possible. Of course, this Rocket with his level 30 Golbat is going to be no trouble for us. We're just going to easily defeat him. And now we can go get the machine part and make make our way up to Misty. And now that we've effectively ruined Misty's day, we can come here and ruin it again by beating her up in her own gym. So of course she's going to lead off with her level 42 Golduck. She's going to be faster than us, but let's go ahead and use Return. That is a one-hit KO right there. Quagsire comes out. I think this is going to be a two-hitter, in fact. Thought we were going to knock it out in one hit. Out comes Lapras next, and this is another two-hit KO Pokemon. Obviously, it's just a bulky water type. And finally, she's got the Starmie here, and we've run out of PP in our return. That was clearly an issue. We just needed to recover some PP. We didn't have enough PP to take Misty down. So in the next attempt, I've used one Ether on my return, and at this point, we should be able to win this fight. It's just a matter of getting the right ranges, I think. She goes Confuse Ray with Starmie, but it's looking to be a two-hit KO with return. She recovers right there, though. So we do actually need to hit and not be confused every turn. That was just more bad luck. So Misty is proving to be just a little bit difficult. So I'm going to try putting the Quagsire to sleep, hoping it doesn't use Rain Dance here. And this is going to be a two-hit KO every time. So the fact that we're at least avoiding one turn of damage there, I think might help us get through this. She goes Rain Dance with Lapras instead, but we're to the final Starmie with full health. We get Confuse Raid. We hit ourselves in confusion, but the next turn we hit Return. She goes for Surf. I think we just need one more hit, and just like that, yes, we have beaten Misty. She was a little bit of a pain, but we managed to get through it. So let's just get it so that we can wake up a Snorlax now, and then we can make our way all the way over to fight against Brock and fight against Blaine. So of course, I'm just going to run away from the Snorlax. There's no reason why we would need to fight it. So we're just going to run through the Diglett Cave here, and I think it's time for Brock. But just before I go there, I'm actually going to make my way down to Viridian City one time here, because we can get access to the Dream Eater TM, and Dream Eater might be the correct play at this point in the game. In fact, I'm going to learn Dream Eater right now over Defense Curl. I think we'll keep Rollout just so that we have the coverage, and obviously Return is our best same type move. We want the sleep, but I think this might be the best play. The reason I like Dream Eater so much is because when we do get opponents to sleep and we use that move, we can recover HP. And recovering HP in battle is really important in these solo challenges. It might not work out, but I think this will be the best strategy against Brock, so let's go ahead and try it. Of course, Lightyear's boy wasn't anything, so it's Brock attempt number 1. So of course, he leads off with his Graveler. I'm just going to try to put this Pokemon to sleep. He's using Rollout against us, and we keep missing the Sing, of course. But now that he is asleep, Dream Eater is a one-hit KO, and we recover a decent amount of HP off of that. Let's also put this Rhyhorn to sleep, and as long as it stays asleep, we get another Dream Eater right there. We're recovering tons and tons of HP here, and now Amistar goes for Spike Cannon and Surf. We're obviously just missing with Sing is the problem, and he protects himself. He surfs again. Okay, we finally get it to sleep, and now we can go for the Dream Eater once again. It's a one-hit KO. We get to level 82. Onyx comes out. Obviously, Onyx is not a particularly strong Pokemon by any means, but we've run out of PP in our Sing just because this move is so stupidly inaccurate. Let's try again here. Sing on the first Graveler, and Dream Eater is going to get us up pretty close to full health there. Out comes the Rhyhorn. We just need a better Sing luck here. We put this one to sleep. Very nice. And Dream Eater right there. Very good. Out next, Amistar. Sing this time hits on the first turn, and Dream Eater will one-shot that Pokemon. Out comes the Onyx, goes Sandstorm, but we put it to sleep here. If it stays asleep, we can just Dream Eater. Very nice. And we knock that one out. Kabutops is out. We do have a Sandstorm on. It uses Slash, which did very good damage. But if it just stays asleep here, I think we've got this now. And sure enough, we are able to knock out that Pokemon, and Brock goes down. It's just a matter of not getting bad luck with Sing. So here on Cinnabar Island, or what's left of it at least, we can say, hey, what's up to good old Blue and just let him fly out of here like Superman. Let's get this rare candy, and Blaine is just gonna have to deal with our rollouts, I think. Let's see if we can beat him on the first attempt though. So of course he's gonna lead off with Mag Cargo. I'm gonna try to put this Pokemon to sleep if I can, and this is one where I am gonna use the Dream Eater to try to recover some health off of it. Very nice. Out next comes Magmar. I'm gonna put this Pokemon to sleep if I can, and we've been burned and we cannot land a single Sing there. So confusion plus not being able to land Sing was enough to do us in, but I still think we've got decent chances of winning this fight. So here Magcargo goes to sleep. We use the Dream Eater. Very nice. Out comes the Magmar, goes Sunny Day, but this time we do put it to sleep. And now I'm going Rollout, and this is going to be a 2-hitter on the Magmar. Very good. And out comes the Rapidash. Uses Fire Blast on us, but we roll out, and that is all she wrote for Blaine. So now I think it's Janine time. Obviously, she's the weakest of the Kanto gym leaders, and she should be incredibly easy, but let's just see if that turns out to actually be the case. So here against Janine, of course, against her Crobat, I'm just going to go for Return. That's an easy one-hit KO. Out comes the Weezing. I'm just going to stick with the Return here. It doesn't quite get the one-hitter, but it is a 2-hitter. Another Weezing comes out. We're just going to stick with the same strat. We got the one-hitter on that one. Ariados obviously is a joke, so we one-shot there. And Venomoth, of course, she uses a dire hit. Good job. She gets one shot. Easy victory. So with that, I think it's just time to try to take on Blue. And this is the one where I would expect to actually have some difficulties, but let's see if it can work or not. So here, Blue attempt number 1, of course, against this Pidgeot, it's going to do really good damage against us. We're trying to Sing to put this one to sleep, and here it's trying to use Mirror Move on us over and over again, but we just couldn't manage to keep this one asleep. So we're going to lose this first attempt. To try again, we might just need the Quick Claw to activate here and to get a Sing to hit right away. Once it's asleep, I'm going to go for Dream Eater just to recover some health, and then let's even go for Rollout and just see what this does. Takes a couple hits to knock that Pokemon out. Out comes Alakazam. It goes Psychic on us, but Rollout should do decent damage here. It takes 2 hits to knock that one out still. Obviously, Rollout's not going to do much against the Rhydon, but we are faster than this Pokemon, so we can try to put it to sleep. It just did way too much damage with that Earthquake there. So it's probably not good to go for the Rollout strat. I'm going to stick with Dream Eater and Return here. So here we put the Pidgeot to sleep turn 1 on this one with the Quick Claw activating, so it just looks like 2 hits from Return to knock that one out. I'm going to go for Return on Alakazam instead of going for Rollout. We get a critical hit and knock it out. Out comes this Rhydon. We put it to sleep with Sing. Now I'm going to go for the Dream Eater on it, and this is going to be a 2-hit KO, but easy victory. Out next comes the Gyarados, and this is the point where I think we can start thinking about using Rollout again. He goes with a full restore there and then Hydro Pumps me, and this is going to be a 3-hit KO or 4-hit KO. We managed to knock it out. Out comes the Exeggutor. We're going to do really good damage, of course, with the Rollout all the way built up like that. And now I'm going to Sing on the Arcanine. If we can get it to sleep, we could win here. We just couldn't land the Sing, and we got burned, so that was not going to work in the end. So let's try again. So here, of course, we put Pidgeot to sleep. We're going to go back into the returns here. Out comes the Alakazam. We're going to stick with the return strategy, and this one is a 2-hit KO. Rhydon, same strategy as before, put it to sleep. We're going to go for the Dream Eaters, hope to just get our 2-hit range here and recover lots of HP in the process. Very nice. Gyarados comes out. We use Sing. Very good. I'm going to go for the Rollout strat. I forgot that he uses his full restore here, but we are able to knock that one out. Exeggutor goes Egg Bomb on us. That was not what we wanted to see, and we get knocked out there because we just took too much damage. So I need to remember that he uses the full restore on that Gyarados. So this time I've actually come back and changed it to leftovers as opposed to having the Quick Claw. And here I've got Exeggutor to asleep. We're going to knock it out in 3 hits with Return. And finally, we're back to the Arcanine. I'm going to try to put this Pokemon to sleep as well, and we just couldn't survive against that final critical hit. So back to the Arcanine, and we're using Rollout. We've built it all the way up, but we just got burned. It didn't matter though. We knocked him out, and just like that, we have managed to beat Blue. So at level 83, we're ready to go and try to take on Red. We haven't used rare candies to this point just because I expect Red is usually the hardest one to get through, but let's see if we can make it work. Now, of course, we've got 10 rare candies in the bag. We can get to level 93 without any additional level grinding, but let's just see if this fight is even possible. It's time for Red attempt number 1. So of course, he's going to lead off with his Pikachu. I'm going to go for Return here. He uses Charm on me, which is probably really bad. I'm not sure that we want to even have access to the leftovers here, the Quick Claw might be more important. This could be a situation where we just need the Quick Claw to activate on this first Pikachu. So here we do get the Quick Claw to activate. I'm going to go for the return right here. It's not quite a one-hitter though. We would need a critical hit here in order to knock this one out. Uses Thunder instead of Charm though, so that's fine. Here, Espeon, of course, we wouldn't be very happy if we got hit with a sand attack, but we still died there. I think I'm going to go into rare candies here, and let's just see if we can get this to work or not. So no matter what we do, we're never going to outspeed this Pikachu, of course. So instead, I'm just going to use Return. Still not quite a one-hit KO. It might be a range at this point. It is. So we do knock the Pikachu out. We get Reflect from the Espeon. And here I'm going to use this opportunity, I think, to use Rollout and build up the power of this move. Now, his Psychic is just hitting way too strong, though. Now, with that being said, the fact that the Pikachu doesn't seem to just be using Charm against us, it used Thunder that time, actually makes me think that we can go back to leftovers here. Let's see if this actually works, though, or if there's something in his AI that's telling him to change when we have the Quick Claw on. So this time he misses Charm turn 1, and we can put him to sleep. We're gonna just keep spamming the sleep here and let him use his full restores on his Pikachu, which I believe this is the only Pokemon he'll actually use full restores on. But there, we knocked that one out with a critical hit. Very nice. Espeon comes out. We're going for Sing here, of course. So we get this one to sleep. We're going to go for Return. It does have up a Reflect, I believe, but a critical hit knocks it out. Here we are, in fact, faster than this Snorlax. Body Slam is rough, though. We definitely need to get this Pokemon to sleep. So I think we just need a run where Charm misses or he uses Thunder turn 1. So back to Snorlax here. The Reflect fades from the previous Pokemon. That's very nice. Here I'm going to go for Dream Eater. I'm just going to try to keep my health as high as possible. He goes Amnesia. Okay, as he wakes up, I'm going to go Return now and just try to deal as much damage as possible. He snores, of course, but we're going to knock this Snorlax out. Out next is this Venusaur, which is going to be faster than us. Not much we can do about that. He takes in Sunlight for a Solar Beam, but now we put him to sleep, and I think we can go into our Dream Eater spam, and it looks like 2 Dream Eaters is going to be enough to knock this one out. We're going to be on decent health after that. Very good. Charizard comes out, and I accidentally used Return when I wanted to use Sing here. Okay, we do Sing it though, so we do get to put this one to sleep. I'm going to Dream Eater right there. I'm going to Dream Eater again because we just need health at this point. And now out comes the final Blastoise. We absolutely need this Pokemon to go to sleep. He uses Surf on us. It does massive damage, and we just could not land a Sing. Otherwise, we would have had a decent chance to win. So once again, back to Snorlax. We just need to get the Pokemon to sleep if we can. Body Slam is just going to do way too much damage here. So back to Venusaur as it uses Sunny Day. We're just going to go for Dream Eater here, and it wakes up and uses Solar Beam on us. And Solar Beam again knocks us out. If we had just kept it asleep one more turn, I think we would have knocked that one out. So back to the Blastoise again. We're going to try to put this one to sleep. We get it to sleep this time. I'm going to go for Dream Eater here because I want to recover some health in case it does wake up and start attacking. We've got it down to about half health and we're at full health now. I'm going to use Return and one more hit, and just like that, at level 93, Cleffa has officially beaten the entire game of Pokemon Crystal on 0 DVs. Like I said, at this level, as we're getting up to like level 93, the difference between a max DVs Pokemon and a 0 DVs Pokemon is just based on the DVs alone, getting up in the range of 27, 28 points in every single stat, right? So our speed would be over 100 at this point. We would be almost up to having, nearly 200 special defense if we were on max DVs. And keep in mind, that doesn't even factor in things like vitamin. We didn't use any vitamins in these runs. If you used vitamins like most people do, especially just the ones you pick up as you go through the game, you'd have even slightly higher stats than that. So even the weakest possible Cleffa can beat the entire game of Pokemon Crystal. It's incredible, and I got a promise to keep, so I'm going to jump on Amazon once I get that shipped here. Who knows how long it will take. I don't know if it's Prime, but we'll post some pictures. Anyway, I just want to say once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for your patience as I'm learning this new dad thing at the same time as being a PokeTuber. There's more coming. See you in the next one. Later.